What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to do a little bit of a regular ETB update, but it's also release day for Black Bolt and White Flare in English. So if you guys got stuff pre-ordered from the Pokemon Center, I imagine it's getting shipped today, or it might have been shipped yesterday, the day before, who knows. But people are starting to get their product, and we're starting to see at least some of the initial sales for some of these larger cards on TCG Player and on eBay. TCG Player, I don't want to look at too much just because I think it's going to be maybe like 3 or 4 days before we get all the cards on the site and we get a better idea of what they're actually selling for. The first day or two of release, TCG Player is probably not the best place to look, but we will briefly go over TCG Player just so you can get a better idea of some of the cards in the set. Again, not every card's up there, but in Black Bolt, you're going to have the Zekrom EX Special Illustration Rare. You're going to have Ends Plan in there. Outside that, I think you have the black Zekrom HPW rarity, and then you also have the Victini, I believe, is in both sets. And then in White Flare, you're going to have the white Reshiram, and then you'll also have the Victini. So that's kind of how it breaks down. Those are going to be the top cards. You can see here in White Flare, you will have the Reshiram, probably being the second or third most expensive card in the set. And then you might have Hydreigon up there, Hilda, sure, and then it kind of drops off. Like, there's really not a ton of crazy super popular Pokemon in my opinion in Gen 5, but there's going to be a lot of awesome illustration rares that I'm sure people are going to want to have in their binders, in their collection. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy people out there that want to try and master set this. I've already seen some openings of God packs. Danny Phantom opened one on stream. That was awesome to see. But even with all that said, I'm still not super excited about this set and, well, both these sets, because they're different ones, I guess. I'm not excited about these sets as investments right now. I think in the future there's going to be better entry points. You can see on TCG Player, these are going for around $100 a regular ETB currently. If you guys have PokeNotify or another Discord service, you've probably been getting spammed with notification emails, at least up here in Canada, over the past like 2-3 days. Walmart Canada got in a lot of Black Bolt and White Flare, and they weren't selling out fast. Like, they were up for hours and hours and hours. Now, granted, there was a purchase limit of 2 items per order, and I do not know if you were allowed to do multiple orders. The last time I tried to do multiple orders on Walmart.ca, one of my orders got canceled by Walmart, so maybe you're only allowed to get 2, but it does seem like they had a lot. Also, up here in Canada, we were paying $107.92 Canadian, and normally we pay $79.92 Canadian pre-tax. Comes out to around $87 Canadian after tax, but I still do not know if that's due to tariffs or that's just due to Walmart increasing their price by like 25-30% to make us pay more. Either way, people didn't seem as hyped to be buying this as other sets like Prismatic in the past, or when there's 151 restocks, those go super quickly, but this is sitting around for a long time. I've talked to a few people about these sets already over the past week, and my recommendation is if you want to get a little bit, just have some exposure. PCTBs, regular ETBs, those are probably decent options. And then maybe just wait on booster bundles. If you got them for MSRP on the Pokemon Center, that's great. But I wouldn't be going too crazy on this set right now. I think there will be better times to buy in the future, whether it's at a cheaper entry point or just 6 to 12 months down the road at the same entry point, if that makes sense. But we'll look at a couple cards that are selling. I put in White Flare into sold listings on eBay, and I just set it to $100 minimum price. Obviously, some of these are probably selling sub $100. Best offers are being taken, but the big cards, the one people care about, are probably a little bit more expensive. So if we go in here and look at the Victini, this is selling for around $500-ish, $475, $515, $530, one up to $600 earlier today. Yesterday, you had a sale at $500. You had another sale at $1,000 yesterday. Somebody definitely overpaid on that. And I haven't really paid attention to pull rate data yet on this. I don't know if there's even like legit data out there with a fairly large sample size, but I would not be surprised if most of these cards are sub $100. I mean, maybe the Reshiram, the Zekrom, like those, maybe even Ends Plan, but this should probably be like a $60, $70 card in my opinion. I think most of these will be sub 100. Maybe a couple of the big hitters are over $100, $200, who knows? But I get the feeling a few months down the road, if you're looking to get a lot of these cards for your collection, you're going to be able to pick a lot of them up for cheap, and that's good. But right now out the gate, this is a very expensive card. Also, the black version, this is the Zekrom HPW or whatever it is, rarity, $350, $600, $1,000. It's a little bit all over the place. These are all sales from today. It seems like most of the sales are around 500 to 550, 600 in that range. Some sellers have taken much cheaper best offers, just looking to move the card quickly. I think I also pulled up the Reshiram EX special illustration rare here. This is going for $340, $350, $350, $460. Most sales are in that $350 to $400 range currently. I believe it's a fairly similar story for the Zekrom EX special illustration rare. Maybe it's a little bit closer to $400 in the Reshiram, but they're in the same range currently. Outside those, there aren't a ton of cards selling over $100 at release. I mean, the Hydreigon is up there around $200. I expect that to be a sub $100 card in the future. That's just my guess. Outside that, what else do we have here? Keldeo is selling over 100. Some of those might be best offers in the 80, 90-ish range. Who knows? But Hilda, yeah, I mean, that's another one over 100. Maybe best offers are close to 100. But outside those, like, there really are not a ton of cards going for huge value. And again, I think that's fine. Like, it's going to be good for collectors to be able to get a lot of these cards for cheap. And then also just the appeal of investing in these sets like Black Bolt and White Flare, at least to me, it's not going to be there being some very expensive chase cards, even though if there are a couple cards over $100 to $200, like, that's fine. It's going to be the opening experience, people enjoying opening it, similar to Crown Zenith. But that alone is not going to be enough for me to want to load up on these ETBs around $100 at release. Now, moving on, we'll talk about a few of the older ETBs, specialty sets, the regular ones, not the PC versions. Hidden Fates, it's up to over $400 on TCG Player. This was expected. The graph was behind there for 3 to 4 weeks at this point. I think Hidden Fates is starting to taper off a little bit. I don't think this is going to jump up to like 450, 475. It might move to like 425. I think that's possible, but it is looking like it's slowing down a little bit. Celebration, same deal. I mean, this had a decent jump, another 3 to 4% this week, up to around $215-ish, but it does seem like this is slowing down. The sell-through rate was down slightly this week, but there was also a lot more supply on the market. People are taking some gains off the table. Now, 151, this is kind of like the evolving skies of the SVR in the sense that it just continues to move up. It had a fairly large move this week from around $142, $143 up to around $256. Most recent sales on TCG Player are in that range. We've seen a couple push above $260. It's the same deal on eBay, some lower sales, but also some pushing $260, even $270 I saw completed sales. And just remember, guys, we're getting fairly close to the 2-year anniversary of 151. That's going to be in September of this year, so a couple more months to go. And then finally, the last thing I want to talk about this week, Prismatic Evolutions. There is still a lot on eBay. There was a little bit less than 3% less, if that makes sense. So there's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 cases less in terms of ETBs, total quantity on the market this week, but there's still well over 1,000. The sell-through rate was up this week. They were selling over 40 ETBs per day by it now. I don't think Prismatic is going to go crazy anytime soon. It's going to take a while for the market to chew through that supply, but once it chews through that supply, we are going to see it start to move, and that might be a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. Realistically, I think it's going to be closer to the end of the year at this point, but I also don't expect it to go much lower, especially if we do not get more ETBs on the market. But that is going to be it for the video. I'm curious to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What is your chase card from Black Bolt or White Flare? For me, I really like the Kyurem EX from Black Bolt. This is actually another card that is still selling over $100, but I would not be surprised if this is a sub $100 card at some point. But I also do love the Zekrom EX, the special illustration, or I think the colors and just the lightning and everything. It looks very cool. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one.